Okay, good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Hey, we're going to get started on our lesson inside of our curriculum 1.1, build it, starting with an introduction to constructions. So again, if we're looking at what we have to do on Schoology, you can see everything there. Let's get into Monday's folder. So just a couple things to keep in mind as we're looking at this, everything you need will be inside of the major activities folder. So there is a digital follow along. I'm going to open that up. This way we can work with that. There's also a blank copy of the notes. I have not written anything on them. That will be available to you as well. And of course, the assignment with it. So let's go ahead and dig into the lesson. And this is dealing with constructions, particularly just getting our foundations down. So our objectives for today is I can create diagrams using a straight edge or ruler. And I know how to use a compass to construct a circle. Going to grab a compass quickly. So we have an example of our tools. So before we get into the lesson itself, it is important we have some key vocabulary down. So as we covered in class, a line segment is a set of all points on a line between two endpoints. So some things you guys did remind us of in class that, when we're talking about a line, it needs to be straight, it doesn't curve, it doesn't bend, it can be slanted like this example here is. But at the end of the day, it is a line segment, starts at one point, ends at another. If it goes on forever in both directions, that is considered just a line. The other definition we need to cover is the idea of what is a circle. So again, in class, you guys told me that circles are round. They do not have any corners. They don't have any angles in them. They are continuous. But the big thing you guys got at there are two important parts. You had the center of the circle and the radius. So a circle is defined as, or a circle of radius r with a center at O is the set of all points that are a distance r away from the center. So it's a set of all points that are the radius away from the center. So the radius defines a circle. So if I were to hold this ruler here, start spinning it around, we get a circle because everything would be, in this case, about 12 inches away from the center. So the first thing we tried to do was copy this figure using only a pencil and no other tools. So this has its issues and limitations. So as I try and copy this, so I want to make sure, try and get the size right as well. Let me go to pen. Even if I try real nice here, okay, there's one circle. Here's the other, trying to make it the same size. And then I can draw that in there. I'm going to label these points A and B because they are in a distinct location from where P and Q were. Now, when I drew this without any tools to help me, we clearly see, let me move the picture around. If I try and put this on top, and move it separately, let me bring those together first. We'll see that these really don't match very well. And that is an issue. So, and our goal in constructions is to be able to get things to be perfect replicas. Did not want to erase there. So if I go to move this, I see that I have quite a few issues with my overlap here. We see the circles aren't the right size. We see A to B is not the right size. Now, when we did this in class, some students had some really unique and great ideas in trying to make better circles. I saw some students using their pinky as essentially the center and then holding their pencil in another hand. And then they moved the paper around, creating a radius going from their pinky to the tip of the pencil. It was a rather creative solution. As we say, you're not allowed to use any tools except for a pencil of finding a way to create a compass out of nothing. So as we see, it is very flawed trying to create these without a compass. Let's look at what happens here. So first, they're just wanting to familiarize you with a compass and straight edge. So I'm going to turn off the screen share for just a moment. So a compass is, stop share, there we go. Compass is a basic tool like so. When you do this, you want the metal point on this end to be at the center, and then you'll just spin it around. Now, these compasses, as you can see, move very easily. They do not stay stationary with, I can put very little pressure and get things to move. So it is very careful when working with a compass to be gentle with it and not to put too much pressure. Otherwise, it will mess up the shape of your circle. Let's take a look at some digital tools now to help us with that. So back to sharing my screen. If we look inside of the digital follow along, we can start utilizing the circle tool here. So the circle tool here, we see a bunch of tools. We see a point tool, point on an object, so to get a particular spot. This helps you with intersection points. Here's a line tool, a line segment tool, a ray tool, and now a basic circle tool. So it does give us instructions. Select the center, then a point on the circle. So I get my center of the circle, go out like that, and there's that circle created. Create a smaller circle like so. Can create a really big circle like that. It's going off the picture, but you get the point. All I'm doing is clicking on it. Click on the center, click where you want to be. If I wanted to connect, say, B to D and create another circle, I can put the center at B, click on D, and now that circle forms. So once you get used to using this tool, let's look at how it can be utilized. So here with this, they're just trying to get us to recreate this picture. So the first thing it tells us, we have a few steps here to follow. We're just going to follow them one at a time. Draw a point and label it A. So I'm going to use the point tool like you guys told me to. And there's A. Now it says to draw a circle with center A and a radius equal to PQ. So I'm going to try that circle tool again. So there's A, and there we go. So that circle looks pretty good, but we're about to see a flaw inside of it. So I tried to do that. If I drag this circle, that is the wrong way of dragging it. I need to click on the circle itself, not the center. If I drag this up here, I came kind of close, but my size is off. And that's an issue with the tool I just used. I can't define the size super well. So I'm just going to get rid of that circle. Come on, there we go. I'm going to use the other circle tool. This is our compass tool, and it tells us select a segment or 2 points for the radius, then the center. So I start I selected PQ as my segment. And now I'm going to put the center at A. And now if I look at this new circle here, let's take a look and drag that over to where P is. I drag that right over here. As we see, it's not snapping to P right now, but we have a very good fit. So it is the same circle. It has the same radius. So we use that compass tool, that second tool there, to get that done. Now I can put point B on the edge of that circle like it told me to. And we're going to draw another circle going from B to A. So I can go back to that regular circle tool. I don't have to use the compass tool this time. And now I just want to connect. Well, let's undo that. I think I accidentally. Oh, I did not finish that circle. That's why. Going B to A. And there we go. Now I want a circle, or sorry, not a circle, a line segment connecting A to B. And though mine is a little tilted compared to the original image, it is an exact replica. Another thing I want to look at with this is these are GeoGebra's tools. Personally, I like Desmos's tools just slightly better. So I'm going to go to Desmos. If I go to Math Tools, we see the Geometry tool. I like Desmos a little better because I know how to share, and I'll explain that with you later. So if you're doing your homework and say, hey, I did this on Desmos, I need to share this work with you, you'll see how to do that. So here with this Desmos, I'm just going to start with that line segment, P to Q. Start with the first circle. We'll get rid of that circle, undo. Going from here to here, and then I'm going from here to here. So I want to replicate this image, size and everything. So I can do it the same way. I start with a point. I'm just going to put that over here. Now for Desmos, the circle, the compass tool is located underneath more tools. And what I like really about Desmos is on the side of the screen, it says you're using this tool. I'm going to tell you what you need and what you've done. So I need to start with choosing a segment that will be the radius. That is this segment over here. Notice it checks that off. Now I need to choose a point for the center. I'm going to click on that point there. And now I have, again, two circles that match in size. So if I put that center right on where this is, come on, snap to it. It's not snapping, but you can see, again, with how it's dragging them, that they are the same size. Now I can put that point B out on the edge here and create that other circle and then get the line segment to connect them. So line segment goes from here to here, and there we go. Again, I replicated this. Mine looks maybe slightly crooked to the other one, but that's okay. It's not about that orientation. It's about size and proportion and congruence. So here's the thing I want to emphasize with Desmos. So you did all this work and then you say, well, I need to share it with you. You can do that even though you don't see a little share thing over there the following way. The first thing you're going to want to do is save your work. So hit save up there and title it. Typically, if you're turning an assignment, things like the assignment name, and your name will be very important on there. So for this, I'm doing this for our recorded lesson. So I'm just going to call it Build It, the name of the activity, and recorded lesson. So I know when and what I did this for. hit save. Now the URL at the top has changed, and that's important. So now the URL at the top says desmos.com/geometry/ and then it has a bunch of letters and numbers. When it says just geometry, whatever you share, it will just share a blank to me. If you saved it, it will give you that little extension on that, and you can copy and paste that to send that to me or whatever person you need to send that to. So that's the same thing on the Desmos calculator or the Desmos geometry tool. It's very similar in how it functions. So the GeoGebra tool, which is embedded in this, just trying to find ways to save it and do all that. Yeah, the GeoGebra, don't worry about that stuff. Sorry, I was seeing if there was a way to save and send. Oh, there we go. There is a save. I'm not sure about send, but there we go. So now let's talk about construction moves that we should not be making. And this one has a move we should not be making because it asks us to estimate something. So the first thing it asks us to do, we're cool with. It just says, create a circle centered at A with a radius AB. That's easy. We just did a few different circles, nothing new there. Now it asks us to estimate the midpoint of AB and mark that with a point C. This is something you do not want to do. As you guys told me in class, the midpoint's right in the middle. Well, since it's such a precise location, you do not want to estimate it, even though that's what they're telling us to do. Hence why that's considered an illegal construction move. We don't want to estimate things. We want to be precise when we do constructions. So there we go. That's at point C. It looks like if I go over just a little bit more, that might be better towards center, but it's not perfect. We'll learn how to get a midpoint on Thursday, but for right now, we'll just leave it at this. Now it says create a circle centered at B with a radius of BC. So go B to C, there we go. And now mark the two intersection points with the intersection tool. Actually, you don't even need to do that. You can click right on where they cross and it will snap those there. So D's on top, E's on the bottom. And now with the polygon tool, we want to make a triangle. So that's this triangle looking tool up here. I start at A, tells me triangle A, D, E, and I'm going to close it by clicking on A again. And there we go. We did what they asked, but we see a big flaw with this. This looks pretty good right now, but here's the issue. If this was a properly done construction, point C would not want to move like it's moving now. Now you see that changes the shape because other things are based off of point C. But if this was done properly, point C would have to be static. And that is something we would need to make sure happens. So that's why that is an illegal construction. So moving on to the next part of the notes, can you make a perfect copy? So this was asked us to make a copy of this hexagon, just using a pencil. So some students had suggested, let's try tracing it. And tracing, oh, I forgot this does not work great in here, but you already see I'm trying to trace and I'm running into issues because my mouse is not great. That was really bad here. Even if I tried to draw it by hand, let's see if I can get the pen to work on it this time. Let's try. Yeah, just wanted to move things, so I'm not going to worry about that. Tracing runs into issues, right? You need to make sure all those are the same length. You need to make sure the angles are all right. There's a lot you need to make sure of. So let's look at how we can use constructions to do this. So our goal is to make that hexagon. We saw drawing by hand sucked. Let's try to do this. Now they gave us a first step here. They had this drawn and they drew that line. When I'm looking at it, I think I can draw another line. Many of you in class told me, well, go from there to the top, like kind of just do the reflection of that line. There we go. Looks like I had two of the pieces of my hexagon, but I still need more. Now I'm going to go a little faster through this than we did in class, but you guys had eventually suggested, wait, if we go from point D and try and make a new circle to the center of the original circle, something interesting might happen. So let's see what happens there. If I go D to the center, okay, that's looking pretty good. Now here's a fun fact. I see I have this circle on the right side. The center to D is the radius, and the center down there is the radius. So I do have confirmation that those are the same length. Well, D to that black point would again be the radius. And so if I go from D to this new point over here that it called E, that would also be the radius. So I know all three of these lines are the same. Okay. Now, the next suggestion was like, wait, if I keep rotating that circle around, if I keep moving that circle around the edge, shouldn't it keep working the same way? And the answer to that great idea is yes. So you guys had great ideas in class saying that. So I'm going to go E to the center. That creates this line here, go E to F. And I can do this. I'm actually going to do it 2 more times just because it's prettier. So now I want to, oh, I went wrong center. So let's undo that. I want to go F to the center. That creates that. And technically I can put everything together now. F to G, I can go G to that bottom blue point. And I created that. Now, one thing I like to do here, just to make it look a little nicer, I'm going to go G to the center. I'm going to go that point to the center. It almost looks like a little more of a flower pattern that creates a hexagon inside of it. Now, if I drag our original hexagon over here down to here, come on, let me drag that. No, it's not letting me drag that. So let's just grab the center of this circle at a fixed point. Grab any point on this and drag it. No, okay, it looks like they fixed the points, but if we were to look and actually measure, I'm going to do this very silly with a ruler. Right now, it's about 2 inches on my smartboard. And again, those sides are 2 inches over there. So we did replicate that. So let's take a look at a summary of what we did. So we just went through these 2 activities. So now, with using a straight edge and a compass, if you are, using a straight edge and a compass. If you're starting from a blank space, just start with making 2 points. Having points to start with is always helpful. Then you can create a line or line segment between the 2 marked points. You can create a circle centered at the marked points going through the other points and setting that compass length to that. You did this in your exit ticket. Set your compass to the length between the 2 marked points and create a circle. We found out how to mark intersected points, how to mark a point on a circle, how to mark a point on a line segment. With points, lines, distance are undefined terms. So some important things with our geometry vocab here. Points are infinitesimally small. A point is talking about an exact location, though when we put a point on a piece of paper or on a board, it technically is two-dimensional. It has a little bit of length, it has a little bit of width. Technically, a point does not have either, it's just a location. Lines are infinitely long and extended both directions forever. Again, we talked about that. Part of a line with one endpoint is a ray if it extends in one direction forever. Part of a line with two endpoints is called a line segment and it is measured by its length. A circle is made up all the points a set distance from the given point called the center. The point is called the center, and of course, that distance is the radius. So that is a summary of what we learned. This will be posted later today. So thank you guys for paying attention to the lesson. I hope this helped. If you missed something in class. So I can stop share, stop recording.